Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the History of the Daleks set number 3, which is exclusive to B&M stores. Now I'd like to thank my amazing girlfriend for again picking up this set, as she picks up the majority of these. In fact, actually she picks up all of these. Without her, these reviews wouldn't be possible. Anyway, so to begin with, let's take a look at the packaging. So the figures come in the standard blue and grey style guide with the TARDIS on the side and the limited foil sticker on the front. And then moving to the back, you have finally got some information about the Daleks that were used in the story and the history about the props, as well as a publicity image of the two figures. Now I do really like the fact we get information about these Daleks, as it's a shame with the free-packed figures we don't really get much information, even if it just said in the back that the figures are from that story. So I think the boxes here do stand out a bit more to the ones that come in the free pack set. As ever with these Dalek sets, we've been treated to a lovely insert on the inside of the box, which is to represent the jungles of Mechanus. Just like the previous character options set, it is very similar in vein that the fact that they've used publicity images of Zeta Minor as well as parts from the actual story colorized, but as well as that we have also got some small Easter eggs like they used to pop in. So like I said, some of the plants are from Zeta Minor, and you've also got a dead body from the same story. Overall, it's a very nice backdrop if you want to keep it. I usually don't. It's a very nice insert to put up with the collection. So taking these figures out of the box, they do look stunning as ever, and what we get in this set is the Chase Dalek Guard that was only seen in that story, and we all know now, but this is actually a movie Dalek that was used in the Peter Cushing films, but modified to look like the ones in the show. And we also have in this set a standard drone Dalek, which was the first Dalek story to introduce the solar slats, so it's very nice to have another one of those into the collection. Beginning with the Chase Guard Dalek, this figure was originally released way back in about 2014, and they were extremely hard to get a hold of. I never really got one the first time round, and I remember getting one just before this set came out, because I was really eager to get one, and I wasn't 100% sure if we'd get one in that set or not. Turns out we did, and this is actually as outstanding as ever. Just as good as the original, but this time there is some subtle differences between those two figures, namely in the paint apps. But like I said, I am so pleased that we got a re-release of this, as it's a chance for collectors to actually own one of these Daleks, as the original, like I said, is extremely hard to get a hold of. But technically, these props weren't actually, in fact, the Daleks that were used throughout the TV series. These are technically props used in the two Peter Cushing films, and they were heavily modified to represent the Daleks that we saw on TV. So they replaced the dome lights with the egg cup-sized ones, and they also removed the large base. Now, in fact, in the story, the Daleks didn't actually have a base whatsoever. They were just static props. However, they did take some creative licensing here and added a small base on the toy. Now this is just so it doesn't look unfinished as a toy, and it means you can actually use the Dalek as a proper Dalek, so you can roll it around with the wheels on the bottom. So, you know, I'd say that's a plus. Now, as I said, the paint apps on this toy have been completely modified from what we saw on the previous figure way back in 2014, and they've done this by making it look a lot more like the Jungles of Mechanus Daleks that were released a couple of months ago, to represent that they look pretty much the same. And they've also changed the gun on this, as the original gun was the generic 60s Dalek gun, but I'm glad that they've added the 70s gun on here, as this is what the prop would have looked like in the episode. So taking a look at the paint apps, the dome has been painted in this lovely dark metallic blue colour, and the dome lights themselves have been cast in a sort of yellow colour, and they are a lot cloudier than the originals, which I sort of prefer. I think it gives them a lot more detail to them. And then taking a look at the eye, you can tell that they've painted the ball at the end of the eye in a black gloss with the white iris. Then taking a look at the rod itself, it's also been painted in this sort of bluish silver that represents the rest of the body, and you also have these lovely dark blue discs around the eye, which is really lovely. So moving down to the neck bin, you have this lovely grating detail that has been on every other classic Dalek ever since, and with the rings, they have all been painted in this metallic blue silvery colour, which is represented on the rest of the body. Looking at the midsection, the body has been painted in this bluish metallic silver, which is very lovely. Again, this is what they would have used on the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek, and it looks really nice with gold bands, and there's no paint bleeds here, so it looks really nice. Taking a look at the gun and plunger arm, as I said, they have updated the gun to the more 70s styled gun than the original release had, which was the original 60s gun. And with the plunger, the main arm has been painted in the same sort of metallic silver from the rest of the body, and it also has that light silver in the inside. It does look a bit weird, like I said before, after reviewing the Jungles of Mechanist Dalek, but it doesn't really bother me too much. Finally, moving down to the skirt section, the main colour has been painted in the same silver as the rest of the body, and the hemispheres themselves have been painted in the same dark metallic blue colour as the dome, and from what I can tell, there isn't any paint bleeds here at all. It looks really lovely, and the paint apps are nice and crisp. And to end things off here, you have the simple black fender. So overall, I think this Dalek is a very nice collector's item for anyone out there who missed out on the original 2014 release. The only thing you won't be getting with this figure is the fact it doesn't have any sound effects like the original one did, but if you're not that bothered about it and you were really desperate to get a hold of this is the collector's set I would recommend buying. The next figure in this set is the standard Dalek drone that was seen throughout the chase. Now, this one has been slightly updated since the previous ones that we saw, the chase set that was released back in 2011, but this time around it has been updated ever so slightly in the paint apps. Now, I'm pretty glad that we've now got another release of this Dalek, as we haven't seen this variant in figure form for at least nearly 10 years now, so I'm glad they have now re-released it into the market, so people who have missed out on this type of Dalek can now add this to their collection. Now, just like the previous History of the Dalek sets that we got, they have applied this metallic silver to the body, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm really glad that they've done this, as it does really bring the figure to life, and it does look like a Dalek has been shrunken down to size. So the dome lights are exactly the same as the other Dalek that comes in this set, and the eye stalk is pretty much the exact same as well, with the exact same amount of rings, but this time the eyeball front has been painted in a matte black, and to differentiate the two in this set, they have given it the squinted eye like they did on the two previous Dalek sets, which is also again a lovely finish. The ring section on the eye for some reason has been painted in a very lighter blue for some reason. Now, I don't know if this is more accurate or not, as there's no coloured photos that exist online, so I don't think we're going to ever find out if they're accurate or not. But it is a nice attention to detail that they have painted them. And moving down to the next section, again, it's got that lovely grating detail, which I always think is fantastic, and the rings and the little slat sections on there have been painted in that lovely bright silver. The silver has also been applied to the midsection along the slats, which is very nice and crisp, and again, doesn't seem to be any paint bleeds on mine. And the same paint has been applied to the gun and plunger. But now, talking about one of the big major differences that has been applied to this Dalek is the fact the midsection is now a lighter grey than it has been before. Now, usually with these Daleks and what we have seen in images that are in colour, the midsection has always been this very dark grey. Now, for some reason here, they have painted it in a lighter grey, and it was seen on the promotional images, and if I'm honest, I'm not a massive fan of it. I really don't like it at all. It's just a bit too garish, but then that's probably because we have been used to seeing those dark grey midsections. I mean, it doesn't bother me too much to the point I absolutely hate this toy, because it is a fantastic figure. However, I am not a massive fan of the paints that has been applied here. I was always a bigger fan of the darker grey, as I felt like it suited it more. I really do hope they do go back to the original grey when it comes to the next two History of the Dalek sets. And then looking at the skirt section, it's again been painted in that lovely silver that we saw on the rest of the body, as well as the hemispheres being painted in that lovely baby blue colour. There is a few bleeds here and there on mine, nothing too noticeable. And then finally, taking a look, you also have the same fender that was used on the other Dalek that comes in this set. So in terms of articulation, they're pretty much like every other Dalek toy. So let's grab this one. Oops, sorry. The eye stalk can pivot up and down. Dome can turn full 360, and the plunger arm and the gun are on ball joints, so you can swivel them around. That one's actually a bit stiff, to be honest. And you've also got the wheels on the front bottom. So overall, I really think that this set itself is a very good army builder for anyone who wants to collect more than just one of the Dalek guards, as, again, very rare figure back in the day. So you now have the chance to own one of these Daleks. It would have been nice for the normal drone to have something different about it. I know people have said it would have been cool to have seismic detector or the little spinny doodah thing that it had as well. But I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to cost, and that retooling would have meant we probably wouldn't have got several different figures that we got throughout this year. So I am grateful for what we've got. I do believe they could have changed a few things around, like maybe go back to the original grey, and I hope they do with the next two sets, like I said before, as I'm not a huge fan of this. So I'm undecided whether I might pick another one of these sets up at all. At the moment, I'm happy with it, so if I do pick another one up, it would be nice to have another guard. Both Daleks are very good. So if you want to track down this set, I do highly recommend trying to go to B&M stores. If not, eBay is a very good chance, even if it is pricey in some ranges. They do pop up from time to time at reasonable prices, so I do urge to keep an eye out on there. So that's pretty much it for this review. My next review will be on the history of the Dalek set number 4. And yeah, so stay tuned, and bye for now.